made all of the
Yeah.
vaccines because they can make a vaccine complex. Like sometimes you can get a single shot that will do for like when I take Hoon, she gets inoculated for like a whole bunch of stuff with one
Yeah.
shot. And
We
we
like
can do that. We can
parvo and
make
all
these
these things at the same time. Yes. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So they can do that. And if they did that and made one super shot, would these people be satisfied? I guess is kind of my kind of unanswerable question. And I think the answer is no. So it's, why do they recommend my child has to have 24 injections before they're 2 years of age? That's
Because they don't
crazy.
have a fucking immune system. It's like
Right. And the answer is very simple. It's like we could do it all in one, but we would kill them.
yeah.
And then their response to that is like, why are you giving my child something that could possibly kill it? And it's like, well, we're giving it a little bit of it like just it's
Yeah.
so actually easy to explain. And I think
Well, too much water kills people,
yeah,
right? So it's like too much of
right.
any good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think to that point, I want to talk about the idea of inoculation or immunization from misinformation. Some of the things
Yes.
that
Yeah.
data suggests are able to kind of protect against that. So, how do we talk to people about science in a way that makes it accessible? How do we protect ourselves from misinformation and, that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm trying to find in my notes exactly where it is.
What if we rename them all to freedom shots? That's fair. We should absolutely do that. I feel like vaccines need a rebranding. That's it. They have a marketing issue.
Right. Well, and I mean, it it truly is bonkers because like the bleach thing
yeah.
you brought up that
Yeah.
thing where this woman wants to give her child bleach, which I think in America has to be labeled with a straight up poison or
Yes.
corrosive label
Yep.
on the outside of it, and this person is willingly giving their child something that is labeled poison, that's a chemical,
Yes.
that's not natural, even though it's one of the chemical elements, chlorine, which is the main component in chlorine bleach. And this is the type of person that doesn't want to give the, like it. They lose me. They lose me there. They lose me there. And I think
I mean, like, you're
I
not even
don't get
supposed
it.
to, like, it's not even, it's not recommended to touch your skin because it's like, it is
Yes.
corrosive. And they're like,
Yes.
here, just take a little sip of this, honey.
Right? Like what
Well, I
the
mean,
fuck are we doing?
are they actually poisoning them? I'm sorry, I'm just gonna look at this article. Are they like having them? They're not having them drink it.
So, one of the things that can reduce misperceptions
Hmm.
is just corrective information. So, being exposed
Yeah.
to the correct information, being told, hey, actually, that's not true, or actually, that's a common misconception, and framing it as a common misconception and framing it very simply
Mm-hmm.
is important. And this is the crucial part that I found would probably be the most troublesome for me is only correcting once. So only saying, actually, that's not true. And then explaining,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
fair.
here's why you might think that. Here's why that's not true. And here's where I know that from, rather than being like, no, you're wrong. No, no, you're wrong. That's wrong. This is wrong. Which is, I mean, I never stop talking.
I know. There is like a certain amount of like
Good
you
night,
want
old
to.
man Felonious. Or wait, Rafa Iron Chef. Old man Felonious was saying good night to us.
Night.
Good night.
Also, I think
Anyways,
we have somebody new here, but they might have
another
just
new. What?
3D Prima jumped in and had
Oh,
four main phyla of bacteria microbiome. So when we were talking
oh,
about
I
like,
love that. Thank
yeah,
you.
hello, thank you.
Bacteriod, Bacteroides, Firmicutes, Proteobacteria, and Actinobacteria. Very cool. Thank you very much for that contribution. If you are still in here. Um. Anyways, you were saying something before. I apologize.
No, 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 no. Sorry, I'm looking for something because I also was like, how do we combat like misinformation? We talked a little bit about this like last time as well, but it's oh yeah, behavioral interventions to reduce like hesitancy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what article is this specifically? It's la 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 la. It is Ruggieri et al. 1 second. Oops. drop a link so people can at least look at the abstract.
Purple Josh says the problem with correcting is it can just lead to deeper levels of cognitive dissonance in my experience, even when done gently. Absolutely. And some people, there
Yes.
is no convincing, and that's a lost cause, and you have to save your peace in that case. That being said, still worth a shot in a lot of cases if you can do it safely for your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, and I agree. I think if you can correct somebody in like a not like as nice of a way as possible, right? And just, I mean, there are some people who will dig their heels in and say there's nothing you can say that will convince me, and it's like, okay, well then there's not like, what are you gonna do
Right.
about that? But
Well, we talked about last time perspective taking. That's where you start saying, I
yes,
can
yeah.
see why you would think that. That's a common thing. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard a lot of people or a lot of my friends, and just that immediate saying, like, I get you. I don't think you're stupid for thinking that.
Yeah. Well, I think, sorry,
Anyways.
this is more like uh sorry, this one study that I just dropped the link of is like, it actually said
Mm-hmm.
that it honestly was just like talking about it as a phenomenon. So vaccine
Mm-hmm.
campaigns or like anti-vaccine campaigns have been amplified through social media. And so I think like
Mm-hmm.
I was actually, when I was like reading the article, I was thinking, I was like, I feel like one thing that we don't really see in the US, which I got kind of used to in Canada and Quebec, was like government commercials. And I feel like the government should put
Mm-hmm.
out like more commercial, like, this has, you know, been funded by the US government. Obviously not this administration probably, but I think it
Mm-hmm.
was an intervention that's like 3 minutes or less can actually have an effect on people's
Mm-hmm.
willingness to like to get vaccinated and to like change that perception of misinformation. And
Yeah,
so I feel like
absolutely.
you could do like 1 to 2 if you see 1 to 2 ads, you know, increasing how much people are exposed to this, just briefly talking about safety and efficacy, I feel like that would be beneficial. I mean, it might not change
Absolutely.
everything and everybody's opinion, but I think it would. I mean, nobody's gonna be like, our government is like trying to. Well, never mind. Maybe I'm gonna take that thought away. I think less people will be like, our government is trying to control us if they're like, oh, there's, you know, do this for your neighbor, be a good neighbor, get vaccinated, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's data to suggest that. Remember way back we were talking about, I can't, something about social helping. It was one of our original Vulgar Sciences, and there was a campaign to help to try and get regular citizens in Texas to help clean up litter, like on the side of the road,
Mm-hmm.
or to not litter, and they appealed to their sense of patriotism by being like,
Yes.
in Texas, everything's cleaner in Texas or something, as
Yes.
like to appeal to the everything's bigger in Texas, or it was something to that effect. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember the exact nature of it, but the efficacy of that ad campaign was so potent, just because someone said, like, hey, we as a people do or don't do this, and reminded them of their identity as a person that is good, that is helpful to the
Yes.
people that share their identity, and that sort of thing. So using this kind of like bent for nationalism for good
Mm-hmm.
would be something I wouldn't expect of the current administration, but certainly something that would be useful for someone that wanted to use nationalism for a positive kind of effect.
Yeah, like I completely agree. Like I think it is, and yes, somebody mentioned like, do you remember the masks? And yes, but I also think that there was it was a matter of two things, right? Of masks were like, people were, I think it was not miscommunication, it was, again, also it was bad branding, because they said originally don't wear masks because we need to reserve them for healthcare workers, and then they flipped and did a full 180, and I think that
Yeah,
that really fucked with people, because people can't,
absolutely.
most common people can't handle cognitive dissonance. It's very
It's
difficult.
whiplash.
Yeah,
It's
yes.
whiplash.
And it was like, and again, I think there was so much uncertainty during that whole period that it caused
Hmm.
people to like just not trust people in charge during that time.
Or
And
just disengage,
yes, yeah. So
right?
I think, and also masks are not convenient. Like us going back to work and have like, we had to wear them in like a setting, like in a mouse testing setting anyways, But like,
Mm-hmm.
I wore glasses. When you test mice, you put on headphones. I have long hair, and then putting a
Mm-hmm.
mask into that hot mess of like all of the things on my ears, I just remember it was extremely inconvenient. Not to mention obviously like the glasses fogging up, etc., etc. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're asking people to do something that is inconvenient. People are going to do it less. But I feel like getting a shot is not that inconvenient. I know most people don't get their flu shots. I know that it can be a little bit
Yeah.
inconvenient to schedule, and health, we can talk about healthcare access is a whole other burden, but
Absolutely. Absolutely.
anyways, I
Yeah.
so I think also like when people are talking about how many vaccines that children get. This is one. Again, we're going back
Mm-hmm.
to like the folate in flour and fluoride in toothpaste of like this was we were solving an issue 100 years ago, and now we've
Mm-hmm.
forgotten the issue that we were solving because babies do pick up hepatitis B and they need
Yeah.
to get hep B vaccines. And so now that the current administration is rolling that back, that's like we're gonna probably see more deaths from Hep B in young like infants. And
Right.
measles is the same. This is the reason we get vaccinated for measles is to prevent children who are not vaccinated from picking up measles. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like if I, I mean, this information is out there. They just need to put it in commercials. They just need to be like protect the babies because everybody was about protecting the children when it was Epstein file central. And now, I mean now it's a whole other thing, but like when they were like protect the children, there's a ring of pedophiles running around in a elite cabal, blah 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 blah.
Well, and I mean, you could even couch it into something that is counter intuitive with that. Like, a Christian fundamentalist that wants to protect babies and thus is anti-abortion. You could try to target that very group by
I
being
think
like,
so. I agree.
one way to protect them is to decrease abortions. Another way to protect them is to make sure that those ones that don't get aborted don't end up dead anyway, right? And maybe
Yeah.
that's a little bit too to the point, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe like I'm not an ad person, but like I think psychologically leaning on these tendencies of people pulling at heartstrings, guilt tripping, like it works. It's a manipulation tactic, but when you call it advertising, no one seems to have a problem with it, right? But that type of tribalism would make me want to do the opposite out of spite, but maybe I'm just a bad person for it. So I think that's an important thing to acknowledge because
Mm-hmm.
counterculture is a thing. Anti-establishmentarianism is a thing. These are all very known phenomena, right? So yeah, you could do that, and you could be like the cool thing. Like all these normies are rejecting vaccines, do the cool thing. Yeah, like, and that all sounds
Yeah.
very trite. It's like this is your face on meth or whatever. From you wouldn't steal a car, would you? Don't steal a DVD.
That like
Like, I don't know.
whatever happened to government PSAs? I don't see like maybe I just watch Netflix and they don't come up
Whatever
anymore.
happened to Canadian Heritage Minutes?
Yes, yes,
I
exactly.
smell good toast.
Huh?
First time
You'd
chat.
steal a car?
Lab potato. There
La
are
potato.
10,000
Hello.
studies on these subjects. So if you just Google just that the study always wanted to
It's a
say
pattern or commonality instead of trying to resolve the issue from an individual point of view. Solution is always obvious, but useless. Much like how people who are against Obamacare benefit from it because no one academic dares to call it flat racism or stupidity. Well, I will call it racism, but at the same time, I think like
absolutely.
I think I
I think
think
a
we're
lot of people contrive lots of ways to be against
yeah.
things in addition to.
So literally that study that I just dropped like in the chat, I can redrop the link if
Mhm.
anybody gives a shit, but was literally like I think the outcome was literally like we need interventions to reduce vaccine hesitancy, and it's like but they're not they you can't speculate in a PubMed article about
Mhm.
the marketing and rebranding. So really I think what we're saying is like there has to be some level of like science needs a rebrand essentially. Health and science need a
Yeah.
rebrand right now given like the current
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
administration and how anti-science